We have started.
So we're going in the same direction.
Same direction.
Okay. And okay.
Alrighty. So you were just going to tell us about you watching the inauguration.
Yeah, maybe I didn't even start there. I actually started with what was last week Friday? When I was busy
The
messaging you.
it was the National Assembly, yeah. So it
I
was,
watched that whole thing start to finish. I
I
had
know
to
you
come to
did. You
Jesus
even
moment.
rewinded.
I had to come to Jesus moment. I used to get so upset with my dad for watching this nonsense. Like I'd be like,
Now,
stop
you
it. It
have
engrossed me.
become your father.
Engrossed. I watched the whole thing until like 8, 9 o'clock. I was still watching. I watched it when they took breaks. I would get up, make supper, come back, like go on Twitter, see what people were saying. Um, yeah, two things I think I was saying to you that I was really, what was really profound to me was the way our constitution is set up in terms of inclusivity, right? So you had, let me see the note. So you make an oath and an affirmation, right? When you're sworn in as MP. So an oath or a declaration, sorry, it's a declaration. When you take the declaration, you mention God. It's a declaration to God, essentially, a declaration to God in your state that you will serve, right? And then if that's not really in line with your belief, you do an affirmation and they take out all of those words. And I thought that that was bloody cool. I know it's not going to change the color weather, but I thought that was lovely. And then Judge Raymond Zondo also then would give each person or each sect time to go, okay, the people who did the declaration, raise your hands, and then the ones who did the affirmation, raise your hands. And then they would. And I thought that was incredible. And then the second thing that struck me was the wording of the affirmations and the declaration and what you're actually swearing and how you're swearing to serve your country, right? That's essentially what you're saying in those declarations. You're swearing an oath to serve. That is what an MP does. That's what a cabinet minister does. And I wasn't lost on me
Very
the
inclusive.
contradiction. But the contradiction of what you swear and what you do.
Yeah.
Was lost on me. Like I thought that was, I was like, yeah, interesting. And that made me angry.
Well, speaking of, you know me, I love my notes.
Yeah.
So I'm provide some of the MPs that have really kind of come onto the radar, like DA. I mean, they're really doing themselves no favors because yes, they managed to win, you know, the second highest majority at 22%, which is still not a lot. They lost about 300,000 votes from last elections. And everyone, a lot of people, I wouldn't say everyone, because there are people who voted for them, most people are concerned about the DA because they've got like Tony Leon, Helen Ziller. And now there's another MP that has been sworn in who we both love, Dan Corder, categorized. You've mentioned something similar. He's an equal opportunity bigot. That's what Dan
What's his
said.
name?
His name is Renaldo Jose. Jose. I don't know what how you specifically write his surname. So I wrote it down after hearing about Renaldo, and then Jose, one of the two. Okay. An absolute raging bigot, super racist, made some highly inflammatory comments, and then he goes on to contradict himself, which is really funny because he's like made incredibly disgusting tweets in like, what is it, like he said 16 years ago, and came out with something like, oh, take a Panado for the chest pain if you can't get over things that we said 16 years ago. So
Don't you lie.
No apology, no remorse, no explanation, not being like, I was stupid, uneducated, I apologize, like, but that's not me anymore. And that's literally like what he released. And a lot of those tweets apparently have been deleted since. But he goes on, well, I say he contradicts himself, where he's criticizing some of the other MPs and people who are in other parties who have like criminal records, saying, leopards don't change their spots. People don't change.
Let me
He's literally
quote
like,
what he
people
said.
don't change. And it's like, yes, there we go. Quote exactly what he said.
Okay, because I went and found him. Okay. This is from the Sowetan, where I found the article. So it says, today white people are beaten, white people are killed. Oh, wait. Let me go back. Wow. When people say it was bad back in apartheid, the white people in this country are going through reverse apartheid. Say whatever the F you want, all right? Back in the day, black people were beaten, black people were killed. What has changed? Today, white people are beaten, white people are killed, white people are discriminated against. What the F is the difference? Please tell me, call me an effing racist if you want, but you come and live in this effing country and the white individual come live here. This is how it's written. So it's not me. And tell me that you aren't discriminated against and that you aren't effing blamed for things that happened in the past, even though you had no effing hand in it. End quote. And then the DA,
Very aggressive.
the DA then said it did not condone the tone and content of the video. Then it also says the DA notes that Mr. Gao, this is Gao, took the video down. It's German.
Okay.
Took the video down from social media over a decade ago and apologized for this video. Bloody, 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 blah. Wait, there's another quote. The party has also been alerted to a petition that proposes that he be removed as DA-MP in the National Assembly. The end.
So, I mean, there's him. That's allowed to become MP. Like I said, doing themselves no favors to make anyone feel at ease about them being a racist party or not. But then also what was, I'm not even going to say pleasantly surprised, because it wasn't pleasant. Surprised and unsurprised in a way. Like, I'll explain. So Carl Niehaus, who has like fraud allegations against him, has literally said that his parents have died twice, or mum has died twice to get out.
Oh, he joined the EFF.
And he joined the EFF and got sworn in as an MP. So he's got fraud and like charges against him. He was also arrested on live TV. So why, like, this is where I'm also going. You'll see where I'm going with this now. Because then there's also like one of the big things that's come out now, a lot of ANC members resigning or stepping down because now they have court cases and they're being arrested, like Zizi Kodwa, Minister of Sports. So, like, were parties just stupid and tone deaf? Because my thinking is like, they're, and like, someone who really makes people feel uncomfortable is now an MP. Then there's Carl Niehaus, who's stolen lots of money and fraud. But then, like, so many other MPs that have been brought in now, like these old dogs, across the parties, who have all of these records against them. And some of them is not even like it was 16 years ago or 20 years ago. It's like recent. Why are we having these kinds of people in our government who already have stolen money?
So Gayton McKenzie, served time in jail, right?
That's also what I wanted to bring up, which I'm very conflicted about, because I looked it up now. He served 15 to 17 years in prison, and he was a gangster, as far as I read from the article. He was part of a gang. But then how also he lessened his sentence was because he was corroborating inside prison to get inside information on the gangs, which lessened his sentence. But apparently, even while doing that, he was still involved in like the sex trafficking of men and boys in the prison. And but he's got obviously a lot of popularity and votes. I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen a lot of the campaigning. I don't know what he is like, or anything like that. It was also long ago. I think his sentence was in like 1993, and he was out by 2003. So that happened over 20 years ago.
I watched an
And
interview with him regarding this sex trafficking point.
yes.
So the reason he started corroborating with the police against the gangs was because this little boy or this young boy got raped in front of him.
Hmm.
And he was raped in front of him, and then he picked him up when everything was done and went and reported it. And
Wow.
that was at like great risk to his life. Remember he came to our school, man, and told the whole story. We've had him as a speaker before.
No, you lie.
I
When?
don't lie. This was 2008 or 2009, but he definitely has given a talk at our school. I promise you. I remember him from school because he came.
Okay.
I distinctly remember, and then I watched an interview where he discussed that. So I don't know how true that is because this is a person that could sue us. So I don't want us to say we must say alleged if we're going to discuss things like that. So allegedly, yeah.
So,
And
well, he
he's got
did
money.
go to prison. That's not alleged.
No, I'm talking about the sex trafficking stuff.
Allegedly, yes. That's what. Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Apparently, so allegedly.
Yeah, let's not get sued. We still need to make more money.
Yeah. So I don't know. And like I said, I'm assuming he's an upstanding citizen now, considering he's politicking, campaigning, won a lot of votes. He's got a big
He did
presence in
really
the
well in the
colored,
Karoo.
yeah, in the colored community, especially. I think it's really great that they are getting a voice as well. But then again, it's like it's a lot of these criminal type figures that are in power. Like I said, assuming he's been a great upstanding citizen for a long time, then that just shows that our prison system works, because prison is meant to be like a rehabilitation for criminals, people who did criminal activity. So that just is a testament that it can rehabilitate and make people better. So there's that. Yeah, I see your hand up.
Thank you for recognizing me, Chair. I did want to say that I think with him, I'm more inclined to give him the benefit of the doubt because he actually went, he served. There
Yeah, he
aren't
did the time.
pending allegations where
Yeah.
there's this hanging over his head. He served his time. And
Yeah.
then afterwards, he's a motivational speaker. He's done extensive talks at schools. Can you imagine the amount of lives that has changed? So that is a way of giving back to the community. So that to me, from a character perspective, that's just my opinion, not saying it's right or wrong, says to me that you've recognized the great harm that you've done. And now you're
taking accountability. That's like our theme of the year.
Accountability.
Accountability.
Taking accountability. And then his tenure in the Karoo when he was mayor for 100 days was a very good track record. And he said he was not going to take a salary when he was nominated as mayor in the Karoo. He would in those 100 days, he would bring about change. And he did everything he set out to do. So if we're going to look at, because we've always said, in order for us to know what somebody's going to do, we need to look at the track record. And if we look at his one specifically now, out of everybody that's been nominated here, we've seen that he does serve the community, because there's a community in the Karoo that he left off better than he found it. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah. So I agree with you. I oddly feel, not oddly, but I do feel better about him being sworn in, because you can see the impact that he's made and what he means to the community, what he's done for his community. And I mean, I can't remember if he spoke at our school or not. That's absolutely ridiculous, but it shows where my head was at in grade 8 or 9. I was probably just trying to get the lay of the land. But it just makes me think that there are these other guys who, they try to point fingers at Gayton McKenzie and his background. But then there are guys who are currently involved in investigations, under investigation, have allegations against them, who are denying it, who are not taking accountability. They're not doing what they're doing. They are taking from the community. the reason why they have these allegations is because they have taken from the community, the people that they are supposed to serve. So that is like, well, you're trying to point at fingers where a man, like you said, who didn't even take a salary.
He didn't take a salary.
This guy, Carl Niehaus, he's taken a 1.2 million rand salary. That's us paying that. BT dubs.
I know.
So obviously, Gouws has been re-elected as president. We're still waiting to hear about deputy, it looks like. I'll be very curious. I mean, the trend does look kind of like ANC in power, then it's the DA. So we'll see. I really don't want Steenhuis, to be honest. I don't know who's better, but like give us options. And then
Once he's elected, he won't do what he wants. I want to know. This is what's been making me really uneasy. Why are they so hesitant to call this what it is? They're hesitant to call it a coalition. This is essentially what it is. And I watched this interview with Coco, and they were still negotiating during the National Assembly. Do you know that if Floyd Shivambu hadn't called, because at some point during the assembly, Floyd, the EFF, Floyd Shivambu's EFF, or EFF's Floyd Shivambu, sorry, English, it's way past English in time. He called for a break. He was like, yo, man, we need to stretch our legs. We've been sitting. He asked the judge. He obviously didn't say yo. He just asked the judge if Judge Raymond Zondo if they could stretch their legs. And if he hadn't done that, they wouldn't have been able to finish their conversations that they were having amongst that coalition. Do you know that she confirmed that? She said so with her mouth. What I'm not understanding and what I'm very uneasy with is why are they not calling it what it is? This is a coalition, right? Because in order for yes, in order for Cupcake to be president, they all have to agree it, right? So I'm confused. And what did both parties give up to have these positions? What did they agree? Who are they selling? Are they selling us? It just doesn't make any sense to me.
They wanted to do it behind closed doors again. All of this, it's not transparent.
It's the fact that the DA, Mr. Transparent, is they agreed to do it behind closed doors. It says to me that I actually cannot trust you to say what you mean and mean what you say, because at the first shot of power, you just ride the wave. Excuse me. Also, their policies are contradictory, man. Like everything, the ANC is against every single thing that the DA stands for, and vice versa. You just have to look at the Palestine issue. Look at
that's one thing.
The second thing,
that's a foreign policy. BE, but yes,
NHI.
NHI seeps every person, most people.
No, friend, I'm not going to the NHI. I'm not talking about most people. I'm talking about the parties. I'm talking about the two of them, right? I'm saying, how is the coalition going to work when fundamentally they do not agree on certain things? Their core values are also different. You understand what I'm saying? Historically, they're different. I just don't understand how it's going to work. What is each party giving up is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It makes me uneasy. It honestly just makes me uneasy. I had a very funny feeling of foreboding when I was watching Cyril and his wife walk up the podium. You know, I physically don't understand it, because to me it makes absolutely no sense. Makes absolutely no sense. The ANC's been clear from the beginning, since Mandela walked out of that prison cell. In every interview you've seen him, when they've asked him about how he feels about Palestine and Israel, he's been very clear about how he feels about it. Very clear. And his stance has not changed. The DA is very clear on how they feel about the Palestine issue, because what Mandela said at its core is that the issue in Israel and Palestine is apartheid South Africa. Naledi Pandor just went on the news on BBC and said the very same thing. So I'm just confused. And I watched that interview again on Saturday. Friend, it doesn't make sense to me. I'm not seeing
It's maybe a lot of give and take. I think when those come in, because it is essentially a government of national unity. So, like, I think that's why they're also not saying it's a coalition, because they're going to have to hash out their foreign policy and certain topics where it gets all of the involvement, because I mean, now the NFP is on board in KZN. So they've asked that in case, I don't think we're going to have power in KZN or majority. It's going to be ANC, DA, IFP, and NFP.
Who's the NFP?
That's literally what CEO on DANC called it. NFP, National Freedom Party, I'm assuming. But they're also a player in KZN. Because they don't want MK to come into power. But my thing is also like, hopefully with this government of national unity, there's going to be more transparency, which is not off to a good start. But in terms of spending, because the DA was really big about that as well, but also the other parties that are part of this government of national unity, also it's been a big mandate. And like, for example, addressing social injustice issues that have been long-standing since 94, that should have been addressed in these 30 years, we're still struggling with, like, for housing, for example, social housing. Did you know, Siebes, that only 2.9% of the housing budget is actually allocated to social housing?
I can believe that. You just look.
I know, I believe it. So, but apparently that equates to about 800 million rand. What is, what I'm curious to see how this is all going to roll out in terms of transparency and spending, and seeing what actually happens, because over time they've noticed that part of the budget, about 500 million rands worth, is spent on parliamentarians' houses.
I can believe that as well. I mean, I don't want to get sued. I have an inside example of this from somebody that I know. Well, she's a friend of a friend, but a good friend of mine, and I don't want to get sued. So I'm not going to say two things about it, but come on. Just saying, our money has been spent in mad ways. I'm confused. I just want us to backtrack a little bit.
But it's also 500 million rand of our tax-paying fucking money being spent in these assholes' houses.
I just want to. This is why this coalition is not making sense to me.
Just the ANC in power still does not make sense to me.
Yeah, me neither. But something's rotten in the state of Denmark. I've been saying. My question is this, ne? How are they ousting how are they ousting Jay-Z? Because I'm seeing here now, just looked up that party that you're talking about, the National Freedom Party, the NFP. So they're a political party. It was launched in 2011 by Zanele Magwaza Msibi. He is the former chairperson of the IFP, along with former IFP members. So this is essentially just IFP. But the leader is Ivan Barnes. That's the president.
Well, they've essentially joined a coalition with IFP, DA, ANC, so that MK won't have majority in KZN. So it looks like MK party might not get KZN.
Then call this what it is, a flippin' coalition.
They're saying it's all like those in favor of the government of national unity, which is, well, that's what a government of national unity is. It's essentially an open coalition. Whoever wants to join us, join us. If you don't, you don't. It was the best move that I think the ANC did. Because they would have been criticized for any formal coalition that they form. This way they say, cool, here we are. If you guys, like, let's have a government of national unity. If you want to join us and we can all work together. If not, cool. DA went, IFP went, and I'm sure quite a few other parties might have also gotten involved. I don't know exactly, but I know that the majority obviously being DA-ANC, but I mean, collectively, they are a majority themselves as well, with being 62%, because they are on 40 and DA was 22, so 62% majority.
And the political Patriotic Alliance joined as well, remember?
And they joined as well, yes, correct.
And the IFP.
Yeah.
And the NFP now. So how are they going to distribute power will be fascinating to see.
Yeah, that's what we're all waiting to see and unravel. I mean, we slowly saw with the speakers. So Tokozo Didiza, who's ANC, I think, and then Annalie Lotriot, who is a DA speaker.
So if Togo is ill or can't make it for any reason, then she
Then
then
will be
chairs. And Nelly is in for a time in Peru because chairing parliament is not easy.
I know. I think people always criticize our like South African government and things like that. But dude, have you ever seen like the UK Parliament?
It's overseas, bruh.
Dude, they're full on fight. People
punches. And we used to think that ours was unprofessional and yada yada.
Uncivil. And because it's always been criticized that, you know, we're uncivilized South Africans. Oh, how could they? We conduct ourselves better than these childish parliamentarians in like the UK, which is like not even UK, like the strongest country in the world, given the exchange rate and thing. I'm also like, what do they really produce?
I don't follow
I don't follow UK enough to really know.
I genuinely don't have an opinion. I just know that things are expensive. From tutors, like
especially in London.
They complain all the time. That's all I know. But they've got the NHI, they've got a national health insurance,
which is fucked.
They've got that.
You have to wait 6 months for a dentist appointment. Depends also what area you stay in, but you look up articles. A lot of English people have been complaining about the NHS system. They're saying, but also with the NHS system, they also have a private sector in the medical space, which is completely private. Government doesn't touch it. People have medical aids. So they have a public system that people can use. And it does work. I went to the NHS when I was doing my gap year in the UK, but I was also in a small town in Stamford where there's like 4 people. So for me to see a doctor was a lot easier. But I've heard a lot of people, a lot of friends of mine who are staying there complaining, saying the system's fucked. They're on private medical aid, actually, even because the NHS system, it takes months to wait for an appointment. So again, depends on your area, but they're heavily understaffed. Their administration system is dismal at best, apparently. I mean, I'm not there. I don't know. This is what I'm hearing from social media sources and then friends who have living there. Most people complain about the NHS. It doesn't work. Well, not as the dream does. I mean, people have access, but they have to wait and for months, and especially for some like critical conditions, they're having to wait. Like, dude, 6 months to get a dentist appointment on the NHS.
Do you wonder sometimes with politicians, when they write these manifestos, do they have like, how does it work? Just think of it like this follow me here, ne? You think of this grand scheme, ne? This grand plan, right? Do they think about implementation and how it's going to work? Do they map that out first, or is it just, this is what we have, this is what's going to happen? Like, what happens? I actually don't know, and I don't like that I don't know. But who do we ask? Like, it just would make me understand why certain things take as long as they do. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, what are the impacts if you want to implement something like that? Like, how long would it take? Because we have a big country.
We're not going to see it be implemented for years because it's also being fought in court now. So
it's account foreign nationals. Like, what is the plan?
I don't think it was thought through, because also if they do implement this, there will be expectation of a 31% increase in taxes, personal income tax.
Bro, I don't have money.
Now, we're still also sitting in a very big issue where it's like 10% of the population are paying majority of the taxes received. So also very problematic, because you can't expect 10% of the population to fund the entirety of it, especially when the politicians are out here stealing. Because so the sad thing, this whole thing with NHI quickly get into it because there's actually something else I wanted to bring up, which I thought was quite saucy. Was I don't know, like, it's wonderful that they're wanting to do this, but we already have this system. We already have a public health sector that we are paying taxes towards already.
Isn't Groote one of the leading
Groote is a public
in the
hospital.
world?
Was apparently, I was speaking with someone, and they said, so a friend of mine, she is volunteers with EMS and ambulance and stuff, so she's very clued up in the hospital and spaces, and she said that a lot of the hospitals, public hospitals especially, are overrun. There's not enough doctors. And I heard someone say, Groote, apparently the administration is really bad, or it's really taken a toll because they're understaffed. So also, again, to get an appointment, also it's like takes ages. If you go to the emergency room, you're going to start waiting. Apparently. I don't know. I haven't been to Groote.
I was born there.
I was born there as well, I think.
Is it?
So I lived as well. My parents are immigrants from Ukraine. They had fuck all money, dude. Where are they meant to go? So they went to public hospital. So like we already have a public sector that's specifically focused on medical aid, and that is already failing us. How I don't understand how people think that the NHI is now some brilliant idea. It's not. We already have it.
Don't you think?
We already have it.
Don't you think it was a last-ditch attempt?
Yes.
I genuinely think that they thought
it was a populist move to try and get votes, and I think that's maybe why they retained a few more.
They lost
because I think people saw NHI and thought, "Oh, this is good, this is great," but again, we need to think that we already have this system in place. Essentially, this NHI just takes away from the private sector. We're going to have to pay more taxes. VAT is going to have to go up. So never mind our personal income tax going up by 31%, VAT goes up as well. I don't remember how much percent, but VAT. So that's the value added tax. So that we're currently sitting on 15%. So that's added onto everything, buying anything and everything, I think, except for staples like maize. And I don't even think all milk brands. I think some milk. But so now that goes up. So we're already complaining that the standard of living is expensive.
I have another question, and still on topic. You didn't watch the National Assembly?
I watched the entire thing. No, I didn't watch the entire thing, no.
What did you, so when the parties did their nominations, because the EFF was the official opposition present, and the MK party didn't attend, so they weren't represented. They obviously
I don't think they were allowed.
No, they were allowed. Last I checked, they said they were not going to go. Okay. That was what the article I read last week said.
I think it's because Zuma wasn't allowed.
Oh, okay. We should check that.
Yeah, we should.
I saw that. I was reading an article. I just don't want to misquote it and misrepresent it. But each party put forward their vote for their nominee for president, and obviously EFF put forward Julius, and then the ANC put forward our current president that was sworn in
elected president.
Yeah. What did you think about Julius's speech when he was given time to try?
I didn't actually hear that. I didn't listen to it. What did he say?
Let us. Oh, something's come up with my limo.
What's come up now?
There are gun charges that have been leveled against him.
Gun charges?
Yeah, but I don't want us to go off track. I want to see
about the speech.
Yeah, that's. Oh, it was his bodyguard.
Okay.
Let me find this bloody speech. This is all that's coming up, and not the speech.
In layman's terms, well, not layman's terms. I mean, SparkNotes version. What did he say?
So essentially, he was saying that this is. He was like, call it what it is. You are basically selling yourselves, and you've gotten into bed with people that cannot be trusted, both of you. And then he was like, well, I congratulate you, type of thing. history will judge you, and it will judge you harshly for your decision.
We also don't know what's to come. That's the thing. No one knows.
I think he was speaking from a place of from the struggle stalwarts. I mean, if you've read about any of them, if you've read Walter Sisulu, I think I was telling you, my uncle had a library of autobiographies, and all I did as a child was just read all of those things. They were very clear about where they stood regarding negotiations with people of the former National Party, and if they ever were to come in power again, you know. And
These are members of the former National Party.
Who's Tony Leon? Tony Leon has been in the negotiations. You know that, right?
No, I know. And Zills, I don't get it.
He's been front and center. Helen Zille was never part of the National Party because, you know, she's a journalist by profession, and she helped expose the death of Steve Biko. If she hadn't covered that, we would never know what happened to him. So a very interesting political background she
part
has.
of NP. Well, was his dad a judge?
His dad was a judge. Wait.
Yeah, his dad was a judge. I know that. That doesn't necessarily mean NP.
He's literally talking front, left, and center. Like, why are you not in retirement, my dog?
Again, anyone, like, also this Carl Niehaus, he's 64. He actually should be retiring. Tony Leon, retire. Helen Zille, retire. Anyone over 65, please retire. You are out of touch.
He's 67. He's my dad's age.
Yeah. Tony Leon, 67 years old. I don't think he was part of the NP party, Sebs.
He's too young to have been.
Like,
I think he started the Democratic Alliance. He was part of the other political affiliations, Progressive Federal Party. I don't know what that means. So 1977 to 1989. The Progressive Reform Party, 1975 to 1977. And the Progressive Party. I think I've said that twice, but that's what comes up here.
So what is the Progressive Party?
We can go down a rabbit hole on Wikipedia. I don't think we have time. I think we should cover them in the next podcast.
We should, but that's what I'm saying. It's like, this is what I liked when Mashaba spoke after the elections, and then Musi Maimane as well, is it's we don't see what the ANC and EFF are also doing with their politicking. They do it so well with their rhetoric, stoking this fear of like having white people in power or in the MPs or anything like that. Like, no one knows what's going to happen. We have not seen anything. DA, I mean, again, we can look at the Western Province. There are holes, 100%, but there's also quite a bit of good. You gotta admit it.
I'm not gonna admit anything. I'm gonna reserve a comment on how I feel about this matter. I feel really strongly about it. I feel really strongly about this coalition, and so I'm gonna reserve comment. I really do. I feel a ways about it, and I did say to you, I feel very uneasy. I think
that's why I'm saying they're also doing themselves no favors with having stupid idiots like Tony Leon and this Renaldo person.
Well, you can't take back how you feel about somebody. Like, you can't take back how if you said on a public platform that a grown ass man was an experiment for the DA to see how many black voters they could get. How do you still feel about the matter? Have you addressed it? How all of a sudden now are you now front and center leading the charge for coalitions? When did your mind change regarding that matter? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just things like that. I'm sorry. Like,
say what involved, did you feel better? This is what I'm saying. The rhetoric has been, so this is why I say I like when Herman Mashaba and Musi Maimane spoke, is because they say the ANC, they specifically say that, but I do believe the EFF is part of that, which is actually funny because now they have a white man in the EFF. But using ethnic politicking, it's very ANC
They
is
weren't
very
doing
racially driven.
But the other party hasn't been using ethnic politicking, and I'll tell you why. You know me, I've gone down the rabbit hole, right?
Mm,
They've never said that they're against white people. They said they're against white monopoly capital. And I
mhm,
can say that ad nauseum. They're also not against white people joining the EFF. They're very young white EFF members. You know that, right? Our age.
mm,
And they've never said don't join our rankings. They've been very clear about that. They've also said that they're not against white people joining the ranks. If the other what was it? A talking point. I watched an interview yesterday where a journalist and Wisin Ndlozi, it
mm,
was on TikTok. So let me not say it was an interview. It was an interview that was published on TikTok
mhm,
where they were unpacking. They were saying to them, they possibly lost the vote because of their open border policy, right? That South Africans were not here for. And you know how we have so many tensions with all these foreign nationals in the country.
mm, mm,
And his response and his retort was, oh, then she said, I mean, if you just look at the restaurant industry, and then Rosie's retort was, okay, give me the stats, give me statistics, and give me the figures, and then we can debate. And then she says, no, but I know so many people. And he says, no, give me numbers. We did extensive research to see
mm,
how many of those foreign nationals are actually in the restaurants, because restaurants in South
mm,
Africa are classified as Spur, um, KFC, Nando's. Those are restaurants classified
mhm, mhm.
here in South Africa, right? In our country, everything else is a boutique restaurant and boutique
Okay.
hotels. So so you can't really regulate who gets hired there. But from a KFC perspective and a Nando's and a Debonair's, there are strict hiring metrics that you have to meet to hire foreign nationals. So they were saying there are
Mm.
a lot of South Africans in that industry versus a boutique hotel type of thing, right? And I was like, oh, okay, learning new information. Where was I going with this?
Like the foreign national, or their policy on foreign nationals with EFF, and that's why they maybe have lost the
Yes.
votes.
Here's where I was going with this. I think that they're the reason they're so against, and it's to answer and comment, it's to answer what you're saying regarding what Herman Mashaba and Musi are saying about them race baiting everybody, right?
Mm,
Which is essentially what I'm hearing the narrative is. And this is going to sound like I'm in defense of them. I've actually just been really watching and listening everything that's been happening. And you know me, I'm an equal opportunity hater. Do you understand what I'm saying? Um, I think that people purposefully misconstrue things that are said.
mm,
Because if you actually, because it suits the narrative for you to do that.
mm,
Because remember, we all listen with a bias. Do you
mhm.
understand? All listen with a bias. At no point, they're very much against tribalism. That's the one thing I can tell you for free. Remember, I
This
covered the
EFF.
manifesto, 100%
Mm,
against tribalism. They're against it 150% because they've always said if you're against foreigners, the next step is for you to be tribalist because how far are we going to push it? If we're going to
mm,
say we hate Zimbabweans, then the next people up on the agenda are Venda people because they're slightly darker. You know, next thing now we're going to be asking people to pronounce things like how far do you want to go? We're not going to
mm,
exclude Africans from coming into an African country.
mm,
So those are the things that they're saying, and people are not reporting that. But I've been actively listening because that was the task. You know I hate Jay-Z and I spoke positively about him. Just saying. Anyway, that was my point. Sorry.
Anyway, but saying is the ANC have done this very well. We've seen that be part of their campaigning and politicking is why things haven't been done is not because they went and stole all the money. No, it was because of apartheid. And there are a lot of remnants that things still need to be dealt with from that time, like the displacement, the socioeconomic planning, like there are a lot of things that need to be addressed. But there are a lot of things that could have been done that weren't in the past 30 years. Like, you know me, I'm very passionate about the education space. That has gone down. It has decreased.
Yeah, so are they blaming apartheid for the
Mhm.
last 30 years where they've actively been in power?
Yes. No, they said, well, I mean, see, so we're
This is
watching the
my
same
this is
ANC.
me this is me judging them.
Yeah. Right.
Now, sir,
So, but it's still such a pain point for a lot of Africans, like you were saying, South Africans, because they might be survivors of apartheid and legacies and all these things, and they still feel that remnants and they're scared. And ANC really good at politicking to capitalize on that, to stoke fear. And I think the reason why people then group EFF with that is because, one, he was part of the ANC Youth League, Julius, but then also when he's come out and sang songs like Kill the Boer, Kill the Farmer, also makes people feel uncomfortable. So that's why they probably would associate or group him with that ANC politicking of blaming everything on apartheid when actually he had 30 years to do something.
And I think when we look at statistics versus if we're going to look at the statistics published during apartheid versus the statistics published post-apartheid, we're going to look at everything at a very unfair lens. Because remember, someone was saying that unemployment was lower during apartheid, right?
But yes, like what group are you looking at?
Exactly. We need to
But
take
that's what
that
I'm
into
saying.
account.
The education has then not improved because there was Bantu education. So it improved because good basic education was implemented. But we have seen with dropping pass rates, people leaving school because they also have to work. Like there's so much that could have been done. People are not doing as
Yes.
well as their own school. There's not enough teachers. There's not enough schools. There's not enough materials. And if we just fixed education, I think we would solve a lot of problems. Just improved education, it would have improved so much already as is.
Then we need to measure them against when they started to where they are, and then
I
that's
just
the
see
accurate.
something. Well, SEEPS one, the pass rate itself dropped from 50 to 30.
No, I'm not disputing that. I'm
Yeah.
not disputing that at all. I don't want you to misunderstand.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, if we look at ANC stats or anything
Yeah.
published, what I don't want us to do as a country and as a people
Yeah.
is to compare pre-94 stats to post-94 stats.
Yeah, no, we need to
because
start doing that. I want to see, I'm really curious to see on many factors the difference. And because I want to see roads, I want to see social housing, I want to see education, I want to see the medical sector, and just fucking service delivery.
It's because they ruled at that thing. I think they were ruling from a place of such arrogance, thinking that they're going to rule until Jesus comes, and that's something that they've said with their mouths and with their chests. We're going to rule until Jesus comes, and I find that horrendous because even if we look at Rob, our neighbor next door, I mean, he's done a lot before the sharp turn. He did a lot for his country. I mean, like you said last time.
They're so educated. Yeah, they're amongst the most educated Africans, I would say, because even in a dilapidated rundown school, they are still getting a Cambridge education where they do O levels and A levels. So those people are educated.
Those things mean?
So, as you know, we obviously have there's different school curriculums and what is taught and whatever. We did IEB, which is an International Examination Board. So then Cambridge is, I would say, somewhat parallel, but actually at a slightly higher level. The content and courses are slightly harder and the gradings as well. So then you've got your O levels, which is essentially like your grade 10. We have a grade 9. If you finish grade 9, you can drop out. I forgot what it was called that you get in grade 9 that gives you that, which is also, that shouldn't be allowed. We should go through school all the way, not just to grade 9 and can drop out because we've got that certificate. So they get the O levels, which is like grade 11, grade 10, and then A levels, which is now it's almost like university level where you focus on specifically 3 electives that you choose and specific things. So like Matt, he did ecos, maths, and I think art for his F. I know Matt did art. It's very interesting. So it's renowned for being a really high quality standard of education, and you will find that all around Zimbabwe in every school.
And if we could just emulate and not just emulate the corruption, we would have been miles ahead. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
it's saddening to see a history of such valor it's like Game of Thrones. You know how the seasons were just
Mm.
popping, And then it's how you end that people remember you for, because now all we remember is that dark episode. Which, this is where we are, and that sucks because we're literally in the long night. Like
Yeah.
winter is here.
It is, yeah, but we'll see. I think because now, you've got other people in the GNU, like the PA, IFP and FP. Apparently, Auntie Pat is getting involved as well. She's in the mix. She's, I don't remember the last time hearing about it.
If she
But
must
she's
start
in
up
the mix,
flipping
apparently.
another party. How many? Every 5 years that lady is in a different political party, bro. Like, bro, pick a struggle. I will never vote for anything that has to do with her friends. Sorry for interrupting you.
No,
Her
meaning that.
politics makes no sense to me. How were you so? She used to be part of the PAC. Do you understand? One settler, one bullet. You know that was their motto, right? For every settler, there was a bullet. Do you understand how hectic the Pan-African Communist Party was?
So I didn't know that. That is so hectic.
Now you understand how I'm painting this. When I say the PAC, one settler, one bullet, you go from there, which is what you were a part of, to the DA. How did to good? Like, please make it make sense to me, because it actually doesn't make any sense. I think when Mr. Boyd was
I think she wanted to be like the leader of the colored community, but it fell so flat, and now there's Gayton McKenzie.
It would fall flat because what are your politics? It's so wishy-washy.
We can't trust
you. Party, be consistent.
Yeah.
At least Jen Hazen is consistent. He's been in the DA. I saw Natasha Mazzone. She got sworn in.
Who's that?
Natasha Mazzone, man.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
She was on the podium. I saw her get sworn in on Friday. Yeah.
Okay. Now they're just buying for who's for what. I know Gayton McKenzie wants MP for either police or home affairs.
Yes, I saw that in
suits him. His history and his background. I think
I saw that interview.
And
I'm very impressed by
Gayton. Isn't important. It's so important. We need people to be documented again. One in six kids are undocumented.
Melusi Kigaba got sworn in again. Melusi Kigaba was the Minister of Home Affairs who had a porno out, and they made fun of him in Parliament. How does it feel inside your mouth? I'm not even making this up. People were.
Why is he back? Why are they? This I'm saying, what do we have in these MPs? Why are these parties so tone deaf?
Do you know how easy it is to get a South African birth certificate? And I'll tell you also from lived experience. You know that Diablo.
You
know Diablo.
He shall not be named.
Yeah, Voldy. That's just not different Voldemort backstory. Diablo. Just, Diablo's family is from Mozambique. Né? You know that. So when Diablo got registered for school, the schools just took him in, but he was born here, unregistered, right? His family and grandfather and all of those people are from that side. But he was born here, didn't have any papers. Same for creche and grade 1. So for grade 1, you'd need your birth certificate. And they just let him in. Same with Diablo's sister. And then things changed when Diablo had to write his prelims. Then you need your ID, right? Because you do your ID in grade 11, you apply for it. So then what Diablo and his family did is they flew to Joburg for this. Né? An exchange of 15,000 rand was done, where a relative with the same surname adopted Diablo and his sister. So they became legal in South Africa. That is how loosey-goosey the system is. And this isn't a thing that I read. It's something Diablo told me with his mouth. And it has gone the same for every single member of his family. And Diablo, like, his grandfather had 4 wives. He has many uncles, upwards of 20 uncles with their children. How many people is that? That's how simple it is to rig the system in South Africa. You just give money.
No, but we always
Some of
learn
it
this. It's always
stops.
money. Money will get you anywhere.
So Diablo's surname is not even Diablo's surname. It's just spelled differently. Because the lady who adopted him has a surname similar to his mom's, and she was married to a South African. And then she just saw a way to make money to help her people out.
Innovative. But it'll be interesting to see as they start announcing. So there's these MPs that have been sworn in. But to see who gets what is going to be super interesting. Who's going to get police, home affairs,
As long as that thing with the education is gone.
Yeah. And then who also is going to be the Minister of Finance? That's also, I think, super important. But I'm hoping with this government of national unity, because they all dislike one another so much that they're actually just going to help keep each other accountable in that way, because they're going to see some shady handling and they're going to be like, hey, you don't do that. And then they're going to do it vice versa, because then they can, do you know what I mean? Maybe it'll work out well like that, because then we'll always know what's going on and then there's that accountability.
But they should have had the discussions in front of us so that we can see what are the minutes, what did you agree? You cannot say you want accessibility and visibility of something, and then at the first smell of power, then you're like, You know what I mean? I think that's shady, but like, I don't, yeah. Like I told you, I have very strong feelings about it.
Yeah.
I would have had equally strong feelings if it was the other way. So I'm very hard to make happy. The only person whom I'm betting on is Gayton for accountability, because the IFP has proven to us that they can't be trusted. They nearly started World War III in South Africa during the 94.
Well, that was also a long time ago. If we're giving Gayton McKenzie the benefit of the doubt from what he did in the 90s, we have to extend the same
calling the kettle black. I'll accept. I'll oblige it. I'll oblige. I'll take that. But I'm still only betting on Gayton. I'm not trusting any of them.
Well, I'm very curious to see all these, because also I think they've also called for a reduction of ministers. We have an overinflated parliament. I think they want to reduce it to only like, I can't remember the numbers exactly, but I know they want to reduce it because they said it's been overinflated with all these MPs sitting in that do nothing. So,
but if you reduce the number of MPs that are inducted, you also negating the number of seats that you have. So who's going to let who go? Because isn't the number of MPs the number of seats, the number of MPs you receive, the number of seats you actually get in Parliament, which means you get more voices.
But I think they're also wanting to make like the deputy thing of an MP redundant, so that there's more accountability, less people, there's more transparency. I don't know. I think there are too many MPs. They really are, that sit and do nothing except earn millions.
But who's going to say footsec to which candidate? That's what I mean.
Yeah, well, that's what we're going to have to wait and see. But that's it from me. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you listened. Let us know what you think. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Thanks. Bye.